Okay, so let me be the first to say this was gut-wrenching and hard to watch. At a point, I had to get up and walk. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to put my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. Have and have nots. We're fresh back from, our season opening, and this episode right here, I'm telling you, the review's not going to be very long because half of the programming, it was so hard to watch that I'm not trying to draw all that back up. But we went through a whole scene of Hannah finally coming into her grief, for the most part. Mess. We'll get to it. Anyway, we opened up with Veronica and Jeffrey standing there with Catherine, and Catherine and Veronica are just going back and forth with basic insults. And it was started by Veronica. She, said some mess about how Catherine was looking like, some of us just can't be at our best. And she talked about her skin and a mess. And there's some stuff going on between them. And she says, oh, so what are you here for? She says, I'm here for Hannah. She's like, that's right. You don't have any friends. You're paying for your friends. How sad is that, Catherine? This, that, and the other. She's going to say, paying for friends. People pay for all kinds of things, Veronica. What are you're here for? A daughter-in-law and a baby? Whew, that must have cost a bundle. I said, oh, no, she didn't. She let her have that. But they basically said, she said, that Hannah's grandchild had been killed in a gunfight, this, that, thing, and the other. And Jeffrey's like, oh, my God, does Candace know? And Veronica was over there being hard-hearted Hannah. She was like, child, you ain't got no time for that. He's like, I'm getting ready to call her. I'm going to call her. He's like, you don't have no time for that. You got other things to take care of. He told her, you shut up. She told him, stop being so dramatic. You shut up. And he walks away. I said, oh, all right, honey. Then Catherine say, girl, I wouldn't push him too much, honey. I've seen him at his worst. I said, oh, y'all better quit, honey. So they're being really, really vicious to each other. And then next thing you know, Wyatt is being wheeled into the hospital. And Veronica really was like, the fuck? She's like, what now? So she gets over there. And Catherine's really like snapping out, like, who are you people? And this, that, and the other, and on and on and on. And of course, Wyatt's telling her, get away from me. And, he's just a fucking brat. Doing all this bullshit. And they're pulling him into a room. Jeffrey ended up calming Catherine down, letting her know who these people were, letting her know that there is some hope. Because Veronica jumped and was like, there's no hope for that boy. He's a junkie. We had him in the program we had, and we were the best program that there was. And I doubt very seriously that this little mom and pop crew can do anything for him. I said, oh, she's so nasty. She is so nasty. And Catherine told her, honey, you don't want to push me, honey. You know how I get when it comes to my kids. I said, girl, you got something in your purse, honey. Pop her, honey. Pop her. She's sitting up there, honey. But Jeffrey really did smooth everything over with her. He calmed her down and everything. She thanked him. And when she went to walk away, she told him, thank you, Jeffrey. I'm glad you have your father's heart. Baby, and marched off. I said, oh, anyway. Then, like I said, she goes downstairs. She finally shows up. Once she shows up, Hannah does the full breakdown. She made some comments, and I knew she was doing some questioning her God and her involvement with God. And I'm like, Hannah, you don't want to do that, honey. Let that go. But she said, my life has been too much struggle and all that. She said, my life has been from nothing to nothing. And she's telling her, she said, God, you got some explaining to do, honey. And what ended up happening, Catherine was a person that really could tell her, I know how you feel. And I was kind of glad that Tyler covered that a little bit, though it was very hard. This scene was very hard to watch, but he did cover some ground of some things that I actually think about a lot of times. You know, when if a mother loses a child, if it's not another mother who has lost a child in a similar way, then don't tell them that you know how they feel, because that's insulting. You know, and that kind of thing. And then she made reference to someone that sent her a sympathy card that said, I know you love them, but God loves them best. That's very insensitive. Very insensitive. But basically, she was able to relate because Catherine knows how she feels. So that's, long story short. So we got through all that, and it was bad. Like I said, literally, I had to get up and walk off and come back and finish it up. It was a bit much. She did the shit out of that. Tyler, you did a really, really good job. It set me walking. So I was glad to get that over with. In the meantime, as Mrs. Cryer is taking Hannah, she said, I'm going to take her home with me. I'm going to take you home with me, get her out of those bloody clothes and all that. She told Benny, because they were worried about burying him, and Mitch was like, don't worry about that. I'll make sure that gets done. She said, go get his game and all of that. It was a mess. Anyway, but so as she's leaving out, there are cops coming in, and of course one of them is Jeffrey's old man coming in, and they start questioning them, and Ms. Cryer was like, she's not answering her questions right now, so you can get the fuck on out of here. And Benny, they go to asking Benny questions, and Benny's answering the questions. They're asking him, there's a black cop, and then also, Justin. And the black cop was just doing it, pushing. And of course, he was pissing Benny off. And Benny was like, I'm not giving you any information about my sister. I'm not giving you a number to reach my sister. I'm not doing any of that stuff. And he's like, I don't have to do anything. He's like, there's a warrant for her arrest. He's like, I heard, but I ain't got nothing to do with that. You ain't got no warrant for me, so I'm out of here. I ain't got time to talk to you. He's like, oh, well, you know what, Betty, you're under the arrest for the murder of Quincy Maxwell. And he arrests Benny. And that's where that part ends. So let's skip on over. Candace is up in the room with Oscar. He's trying to convince her to go through the whole thing with the president-elect. And he's telling her about the long-time hustle. She's like, I ain't in this for no long-time hustle. He's like, that's the problem. You're always doing petty little things, and that's why you're always getting caught up. A long-time hustle is better, which is true. And people don't really know that. That's what's wrong with a lot of the people that be scamming folks and carrying on. Never mind. Anyway, but a long-time hustle is always better than a short-term con. But anyway, they went through all that. Next, we actually see Veronica finally gets to see the doctor. And the doctor is looking at her, and he's telling her about Melissa. And she's like, how's the baby? Kept cutting him off. He says, oh, well, she's this, that, and the other. She's very depressed, and on and on and on. And she says, how's the baby? And he goes on, and she says, well, does all that affect the baby? He's like, I don't know. It really could. And she's like, And he says, do you want to see her now? She said, no, I don't want to see her. I don't want to see her. Just worried about the baby. That's all. I was like, she is really down there doing too much. Because she half sleepy and half drunk. And she's just being a bitch. And he went on. He said, a friendly face may be really good for her right now. She said, and that's why I don't want to see her. How's the baby? The baby, honey. That's all I'm concerned with. And went on off. I said, my goodness. And then Jeffrey's like, I'm going to go and see her. She's going to say, you don't want to see her. You come on and let's go. He said, I do want to see her. She said, why? He said, I want to see that she's all right. She said, no, you don't. You want to see Wyatt. She said, and Jeffrey turned around and said, yes, him too. And pulled his arm away from her and went on around that corner. I said, sashay away, honey. So Veronica mad, half drunk, and going on home, honey. She's a mess. Last thing, Jim sitting down with Mama Rosa, honey. He and brought Mama Rosa all the way up to speed on who War is and how he knows War and all that, honey. Mama Rosa said, so you all involved with this. You the one that got him out? And she's basically let him know how to bust your ass for this and all that. And Jim's trying to convince her that opening War onto the project is going to just really make everything hot, and it's not going to be good. It's going to be a real bad fallout. She's like, do you think I give a shit? There's a message that needs to be sent. Not to fuck with the Malones. I don't give a goddamn if it is an accident. Do not fuck with the Malones. Now, I'm with Mama Rosa, personally, but Jim's trying to convince her, no, let me take care of this. He calls War talk shit to him and hung up on him on the phone. And she said, give me your damn phone. She took Jim's phone, told the guy, trace it. She said, you know what? You better hope you find that bastard before I do. Then he asked her, nothing's come up with about the DA's body. What have you done with that? She just looked at him, honey, like, don't get my business, honey. So Jim got all nervous after that, and he ended up contacting David and telling David what all went down. He's like, meet me. You know, David said, I'm on my way to the hospital to talk to Jeffrey. He said, I'm going to meet you there. And he was asking him, who were you working with to try to retrieve Candace and retrieve Wyatt and all that? And he's like, Oscar. And he's like, can you trust him? They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's like, okay, fine, get him on it. We need to find Ward before Mama Rosa. I hope Mama Rosa finds Ward and tears his ass up. But anyway, that's where we ended out. And it's cool. Rough episode, though. That beginning part was rough for me. But that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. All right.